Hey, what's up, guys? Mike's here. Right, we're doing our chapter of Shout and Dance with Me. And today we'll be reading this next chapter titled, chapter 7, called Unsteady. And oh, yeah, this song right here. By the way, if you don't know, that song is by X Ambassadors. Well, I still know them from that song Renegades. Let's get back to chapter 7, titled Unsteady. Ooh, the song though. Made me feel like a little chills. Alright guys, let's do the chapter 7. Let's get started. What about this one? Keith asks, and there's a brief pause before the music starts to play. It takes Lance only until the lyrics start to recognize the other side. Lance makes an unsure whine sound in the back of his throat. Don't get me wrong, I love my man, Jason Derulo, but like, I'm not feeling it. No, Keith grunts, possibly. What is it? Anyway, you've been saying the same thing for the past week. I just found it yet. Thumbs. And Lance feels him hunch a little more. They're sitting back to back on the floor of room 4D, both looking through their phones. He can't literally blame Keith for his frustration. They have been at this for a week, and so far they've made no progress. Granted, they hadn't met up every day since regionals. Both decided to take a break for their daily practices to kind of reset and rest. But this is the 4th day they met for a schedule. 1 hour practice session, and so far there's been no practicing. Just an endless stream of music and disappointment. He doesn't think Hunk and Pitch have this much trouble selling a song, and despite the trouble he and Keith had picking a song for auditions, he didn't think it would be this hard. But every song Keith suggests just doesn't feel right, and Keith is all about between Lance's ideas. They had both decided that since they had roughly 3 months till regionals, they would pick a completely new song and choreograph something together. So far, working with Keith is terrible. You know, it, he says, throwing up his hands to gesture him. No, I don't. That doesn't make sense. Lance turns his head to look in the wall-length mirror, glaring at Keith's reflection. Keith tilts his head, catching his eye. If, Keith, it. He holds up a hand, pinching his thumb and forefinger together and shaking the gesture. I'm not feeling it. It doesn't feel right. Keith nods, looking back down his phone. You're too picky. Duh. Yeah, of course I'm picky. We got to regionals, dude. This is a big deal. If we do well, we could get all kinds of opportunities. I can finally get my dance career on track. You're going to do well no matter what song we choose, he mumbles, and his voice is filled with frustrated grumble, but the compliment in it is so clear, so blunt, so unabashed, that Lance finds himself staring at Keith's reflection with wide eyes. Thanks, he says, because he's not sure what else to do. Keith isn't usually open with confidence like that, and it kind of catches him off guard. Keith jerks his head up then, catching Lance's eye. He seems to realize what he said, eyes winding a fraction even as his lips press into a frown. If Lance squints really hard and truly believes, he can almost see the reddening of Keith's cheeks, but then he's looking away, hiding his face with a curtain of hair. Yeah, so get the stick out of your ass and just pick something. And Keith is back to normal. Crisis ever. Must I remind you that you're just as guilty as I am about between songs? I'm not. Or two. I'm not. Okay, then what about this one? He says, pressing a song on his phone. And the indisputable beats of Turn Me On by David Guetta and Nicki Minaj starts playing. He actually seems to listen to the song for a bit, and for a moment Lance thinks they might have found it. But then the song gets to the chorus, and Keith shakes his head once. No, Keith! No! He repeats, and then there's an old strain in his voice that Lance can't quite place. Ugh, see? You're just as bad as I am. Whatever, he mumbles. Alright, how about something more relatable to your former emo sensibilities? He says, smiling his voice as he hits the play and slow, unmistakable beginning piano notes to Welcome to the Black Parade, Sorrow. He's grinning as the music plays. A laugh barely contained, but to his horror, Keith makes a thoughtful sound. You know, now that you mention it, Keith! Lance sputters, choking out his name as he leans forward and half turns to gape at him. Cannot believe this is way too cliche. Nope, in a way. He had been joking. It's way too slow for their combined dance style anyway. Keith half turns to look at him, one eyebrow raised and the ghost of a sparkle on his lips. He takes one look at Lance's offended expression and bursts out laughing. The sound is so unexpected, and he forgets how nice of a laugh Keith has. Calm down, Lance. I'm kidding, he says, grinning, and Lance has to look away. Oh yeah, sure. Now you have jokes. Look at Keith, everybody. Stoic Muxco has jokes now. Fancy that. He glances up in time to see Keith roll his eyes. The white grin is gone, but there's still a small smile there. And okay, they may not be getting anything done, but hey, at least they're both kind of having fun. Right? Lance always feels weirdly victorious whenever he manages to make Keith smile. Maybe it's because the guy always seems so serious and so reserved. But when Lance pulls him out of that, well, it's a good feeling. Lance has always enjoyed making people laugh. It's not that weird, really. Besides, against his better judgment, he's starting to see Keith as a friend. A new partner, rival friend, but still a friend. And he doesn't like making their friends smile. They're both quiet for a moment while they scroll through their phones. Lance tries not to think too much about the fact that he's not as comfortable now, that they're no longer leaning against each other. Then his eye catches on the song title, and he grins. Okay. What about... He trails off as he spins around to sit facing Keith. Keith is half turned to him, one knee up and arm resting lazily on it. He looks up at Lance, face blank as he raises a curious eyebrow. Lance keeps eye contact as he hits play. He doesn't see the flicker of recognition pass over Keith's features until the lyrics start. It's like a slow degeneration of his expressions as the blank confusion morphs into a strange mix of horror, disbelief, amusement, and disappointment. Lance throws back his head and laughs as Size Daddy plays. Please tell me you're joking, he says when he finally finds his voice. Lance manages to compose himself, ribbon handed Keith as he chuckles. Yeah, sure. He looks down at his phone, dreaming innocence. After a pause, he looks up, gazing at Keith through his lashes as his lips curl into a smirk, and he waggles his eyebrows, voice dropping a pitch or two. Or am I? Keith's expression pinches, lips curling up as his nose crinkles. Lance, no! Lance laughs dramatically, throwing himself backwards far on the floor, blocking his limbs out wide and kicking Keith in the process. Watch out! It's the fun police! He puts a hand to his face, cupping around his mouth as he starts to make siren sounds. He doesn't get very far into it before Keith kicks in. Stop! Lance humps, letting his hand flop back down. They lapse back into silence, which Keith scrolls through his phone and Lance just stares at the ceiling. All jokes aside, this is hard. And despite the fact that he and Keith do, maybe Sorrow, have similar music tastes, Lance just can't choose anything. He wants this dance to be perfect, gold worthy, then what if he chooses wrong? What if there's a better song? And he thinks that beneath his nonchalance, and aggravating calm. Keith is probably feeling the same kind of pressure. I'm pretty sure Paige and Hunk already have a song, he says conversationally, still staring at the sand. Or they at least have it narrowed down to like 5 possibilities. Good for them, Keith grunts. Shiro and Laura probably have theirs picked out already too. Probably. And when you think about it, 3 months isn't actually that much time. Lance, does this have a point? The point is we need to pick something so we can start actually dancing. I thought that's what we were trying to do. Well, it's not working. You don't say. Your sass isn't constructive, Keith. And your commentary on our friends and their ability to actually pick a song is... Alright, ignoring your continuing sass. What was I getting at? Is we should like... YOLO. What does that even mean, Lance? Lance props himself up on his elbow to actually look at Keith. He prods him with the toe of his shoe. We should try it my way, you know? Keith just stares at him for a moment. Lance sees when he realizes what Lance is getting at. Apprehension flickering across features. No. Keith! Lance pokes him harder, nearly knocking him over. Keith pushes his foot away. No! Do you have any better ideas? Lance asked, sticking his bottom lip out in a pout, but meeting Keith's gaze with a deadly challenge. Keith is the first to back down. Besides, face sailing into begrudging faith. Fine. Lance lets out a loud, wordless cheer, practically jumping to his feet as he scrambles over to the auxiliary cable. He plugs in his phone, sets it to shuffle, and pulls his Bluetooth remote out of his bag. Keith has scooted back so he's sitting up against the mirror, arms crossed loosely over his chest as he watches him. Lance stands in front of him in the middle of the room, hands on his hips as he scowls. You, too, get over here. Keith raises an eyebrow. No. Keith, it's your thing, dude. But we were picking our song. We need to feel it, too. Keith still looks skeptical. Lance sets his face into a challenging frown and points to the ground next to him. Keith, Cogain? Get your ass over here. Keith looks like he's going to refuse again, but something in him gives and he sighs, shaking his head as he gets to his feet. He trudges over to Lance, dragging his feet. His arms stay crossed over his chest, and it looks more awkward than Lance is used to seeing him. Lance gives him what he hopes is a reassuring smile and starts his music. His eyes fall closed as he nods his head, picking up the beat. Then he starts to move. He falls into it pretty easily, trying to focus on the song and how it calls out. He doesn't think twice about how he's dancing. He really pays attention to it. It's just natural. As long as he's moving, he can get a feel for the song and determine whether or not it has that it factor. It takes him about 2 skips and roughly a minute to realize that he isn't dancing at all. Keith, Lance says, tone Kasturi as he stares at him. He doesn't stop moving though, swaying from hip to hip. What? He's still just standing there and looks like he hasn't moved an inch. You have to dance, dude. No, I don't. How else are you going to know when you feel it? I don't even know what it is. Come on, man. Just move. Lance steps up to him, putting his hands on his shoulders, and trying to get him to do just that. He does, but it's reluctant and stiff, and barely more than just a swing back and forth. His face is pinched and happy, and there's a faint blush spreading across his cheeks. Yeesh, for a guy who's ridiculously confident when he dances. He sure isn't showing it now. He doesn't even look like the same person Lance danced a week ago. Now, who looks like they have a stick up in their ass? Shut up, he glares at him, snapping his into it. I don't do this, okay? This is your method, so you do it. The rest of the practice session is about as productive as the first half. Lance spends near 10 minutes trying to convince Keith to dance. They just cut loose and relax, but he isn't having any of it. He begrudgingly dances on his own after that, shuffling through his songs and trying to ignore Keith and his permanent pout as he sits against the mirror and watches him. Lance tries to show Keith it can be fun, but he's already been thrown off his groove and is dancing more out of principle than because he actually feels it. They don't end up picking a song. Again, they don't talk as they pack up and leave room for a date. They don't bicker or joke as they trudge downstairs, each footfall heavy and echoing. They don't race down steps. Shiro is waiting for them when they reach the ground floor. He's leaning up against the wall, sit next to the stairwell entrance, ankles crossed, phone in hand, and prophetic shoved in his pocket. Keith stops at the bottom of the stairs, and Lance stops in the last couple steps. Shiro looks up, smiling, and sees him. Hey guys, he says, putting his phone away. Oh, hey, Shiro, Lance says, raising both eyebrows. Were you waiting for us? I was, actually. This is rarely, but it's like the most natural thing in the world. It's not though. Lance can't remember a single time the man's waited for them after practice. Oh, what's up? He asks because Keith sounds, eyeing his brother curiously. I just wanted to ask how it's been going, preparing for regionals. At that, Lance groans long and loud as he reaches out to grab the railing and leans on it so he can properly and dramatically throw his weight around. Ugh, awful! I take it you guys haven't chosen the song yet? No. He finally speaks up, and it sounds just as grumpy as he looks. Lance says he's not feeling it in any of the songs we listen to. You can practically hear the air quotes, because they're not right. How do you know? You haven't given any of them a chance. Lance turns his head to glare at Shiro. See what I have to deal with? Shiro said, lips curved to a small apologetic aspect. I was worried this might happen. What is this exactly? Keith asked, and Lance's eyes narrowed at Shiro, the mantras. Neither of you are used to working with a partner, let alone each other. You guys did great at auditions, but it was clear there were some synergy issues. So it was that obvious, huh? It's not like they did bad. Obviously, they had done well enough to be chosen for originals, but Lance can't quite deny the obvious disconnect between him and Keith. He doubts anyone without dance experience could see it. It's subtle, something only those used to dancing, especially dancing with a partner, can do. Like they are on the same page with the dance together, or like they're the same book, but it's two different editions. So while it might be the same place in the story, the words don't line up on the pages just right. They learned the same dance, and they both did it to the best of their abilities, which is no doubt how they had succeeded. But it was clear that they were both in their own heads. They were dancing together physically, but not mentally. Lance didn't think it mattered too much. They did well for only having less than 2 weeks to work. He's proud of what they did. He just knows that. Give more time and more synergy between them. It could have been better. He's also kind of embarrassed that Shiro has been able to pick up on him. When neither of them respond, Shiro continues. Laura and I have been talking. Oh God, Keith mumbles. And we think that you two could benefit from some of our lessons. Lance raises an eyebrow. Lessons? One of your dual synergy building lessons? Keith sounds skeptical and none too happy. Shiro nods, still smiling in that friendly way that really makes Lance reluctant to disappoint him. Since you two are new partners, obviously there's going to be some bumps along the way. but we really think that you have the potential to work real well together and we want to help. Lance shifts so he's leaning forward, hand balancing on the railing, so he can look at Shiro more fully. He eyes him cautiously. What's the catch? Shiro seems amused by that. He crosses arms over his chest. The catch is that you might actually learn something. Raises an eyebrow. Dangerous. I know. Lance snorts, eyeing Keith sideways as he mumbles under his breath. I see where you get your sass from. He thinks he might have seen the twitch at Keith's lips. So, what do you say? This Wednesday? 3-hour practice session with me and Laura? Keith groans, and Lance finds himself echoing that sentiment. Still, it's obvious they're getting nowhere on their own, and he really wants to do well at regionals. He'll take all the help he can get. Still, he has his pride. He's caught between brushing it off and claiming they've got this in the bag, and actually accepting the help. He looks to Keith to find he's already staring at him. They exchange tight-lipped frowns. He can see his own struggle mirror in Keith's eyes. Then Keith gives him an almost imperceptible nod, and Lance laughs. He finds himself saying, "Sure, why not? Can't be too bad, right?" So Lance and Keith they haven't gotten along that much because the struggling is still like picking the songs and practicing dancing, and they have yet to choose their song for the regionals. It's kind of like wasting the time for it. So, and Shiro helping them to make sure that they want to keep themselves on time and picking the right songs for what they need. So that's kind of that little portion of it. Alright, let's move on. Room 2A is a lot like the other rooms in the studio. Posh hard floors, wall length mirror, sound system, but it's nearly twice as big as Key's usual room up on the floor. Shiro and Laura do require a lot of space when they dance, but Key can't imagine a scenario where they would need this much room. So he says it's a perk of technically owning the place. They can have whatever room they want. Keith is there before Lance. It was raining that morning, so he had opted to hitch a ride with Shiro instead of riding his bike. Fortunately, Shiro and Laura have a scheduled practice session of their own for an hour before their lesson with him and Lance. So that's how he finds himself in room 2A, sitting with his back to the mirror, headphones on, his chill playlist blasting, and Italy playing a game on his phone. He's only half paying attention to what Shiro and Laura are doing. They start out with some kind of a drill practice, then move on into going through old routines. There's nothing Keith hasn't seen 100 times before. They're still impressive, but Keith has other things in his mind, like Lance. He really wishes he didn't have Lance on his mind, but there he is, in all of his tan skin, blue-eyed, dopey, smiled glory. Ruined himself in the base of Keith's thoughts, always there and always waiting for an infuriating smirk and cocky pride whenever Keith lets his mind wander. He hates it. Wants to just dig Lance up and toss him into the pile of the rest of his friends in his mental mind dump. But no, just like in real life, Lance has to be stubborn and a constant reform and keeps the methodical side. It's not like finding people attractive is rare. He has been attracted to plenty of people in his 22 years of existence. It's just hasn't been attracted to one of his friends since high school, and he had forgotten how absolutely terrible it was, especially since it's Lance, and Lance is just infuriating for the most part. Such a cacophony of positive and negative traits that Keith finds himself in a near constant state of whiplash. Still, Keith is pretty sure his attraction is just physical. There's no way in hell it can be anything deeper. There's no way Keith is going to let it be deeper than that. That road can only lead to complications with his new friend group and this whole regional thing. And it's a road Keith is determined not to go down. Still, There's a surprisingly big difference for crossing the relatively thin line of finding someone attractive and admitting to yourself that you find that person attractive. That difference comes down to self-awareness, and Keith's self-awareness is loud. For one stupid moment, he had thought that if he acknowledged it, maybe he could move past it. He had been so wrong. Now he's just stuck thinking about it, constantly aware whenever Lance goes, whenever he smiles, whenever the king winks. He wants him to just go away. He wants to go back when they were just friends, or at least the awkward beginning of friends. Back before he had all of these extra thoughts flying around. They're unwanted, unnecessary, and quite honestly, annoying. They make him second guess himself. They make him notice things he wishes he didn't. They make him hyper aware of Lance whenever he's nearby. They make him aware of his own reactions and therefore embarrassed of those reactions, which only manages to make it worse. And it comes right down to making it an unpredictable and awkward experience whenever he has to interact with his new set of friends. It's like his own personal hell. But crushes fade, right? This one will go away too. Not that it really qualifies as a crush, it's just attraction. That's like only a pre-stage to a crush. He will be damned if he's going to let things get that far. No. So Keith lets his music wrap him up and tries to force himself to relax, telling himself that this whole lesson with Shiro and Laura will be fine. They're just going to learn how to be better dance partners. Plenty of people have gone through training with Shiro and Laura and have come out of it better dancers. They'll be fine. Still, no matter how many times he tells himself that, he can't help the small hitch in his breath as the door opens, and the way his heart lodges itself in his throat as Lance walks in. Shiro and Laura don't stop dancing, but as he looks up, he briefly sees the flicker of recognition on both their faces. Lance pauses in the doorway, eyes sweeping over them before he gently shuts the door behind him. It inches along the mirror wall to sit himself next to Keith. He drops his back at his side, reaching out to tap a finger against Keith's headphones. Reluctantly, he turns off his music and pulls the headphones down to rest around his neck. Half turned to glance at Lance. He's smiling, and it's just a casual get-reading smile, but it does things to Keith's insides that he's not proud of. Sorry, I'm late, raised an eyebrow. You are? Lance looks smiley surprised. Yeah, by like 10 minutes. I had to wait for Mom to get home from the store. Can't leave the kids alone, you know? Honestly, I didn't even notice you were late. Lance says, gee, thanks, buddy. He shrugs, gesturing towards Shiro grabs Laura's waist, lifting her and spinning before bending over. She flips over his back and lands on her toes, one foot at a time, with all the grace and bounce of a ballet dancer. He doesn't know if she's taken ballet before, but he wouldn't be surprised. They've just been dancing, so I haven't noticed. Lance eyes them curiously, and Keith is glad to have his attention elsewhere. New routine? Keith shakes his head. All routines, like years old. I don't even know how they remember all of it, to be honest. Lance starts bumping Keith's shoulder with his own. Like you don't remember all of your choreographed dances too. Keith feels his lips quirk so small. Fair. So, have you ever taken one of these lessons with them? Nope. So, you have no idea what to expect. Not really. But it's supposed to make us better dance partners? Supposedly. Shiro brags about his students all the time, so I guess it worked. Well, he's going to brag about us next, because we're totally going to nail this lesson. Step 1, whatever this is. Step 2, we pick a song. Step 3, regionals. Keith snorts out a small laugh, and just like that, he feels the tension he had been feeling melt away. This is familiar. This is just Lance. There's nothing deep about it. He thinks that a lot of his uncertainty and nervousness comes from the anticipation of seeing Lance, of not knowing how he'll respond to seeing him. He, then once he's there, it's fine. It's just Lance. Nothing special, nothing unexpected. Just like with performing, he overthinks things. But when the moment comes, it's fine. They'll be fine. The song ends and their dance comes to a close with Shiro and Laura gazing into each other's eyes with enough choked emotion that Keaton knows it can't be all for show. For just a second, it feels like he's intruding on a personal moment, but then that moment is shattered as Lance claps loudly, whistling and cheering enough to make the two of them laugh as they draw away from each other. Nice of you to show out, Lance, Laura says, though it's all teasing and not unkind. He starts, family things. You know how it goes. Well, all that matters is you're here now. And we can get started. Shiro says, going to where his phone is plugged into the sound system. He stops the players from playing the next song and takes a long swig from the water bottle before tossing it to Laura. Yeah, let's get this party started. Lance practically jumps to his feet, finding further out into the room. Keith is much slower, taking his time to put his phone and headphones in his bag before reluctantly standing and going to join Lance next to Laura. She asks them, your enthusiasm is appreciated, Lance. Yeah, Keith, where's your enthusiasm? Shiro asked, coming to stand next to him and bumping him with his shoulder. He crosses his arms over his chest in dead hands. I must have left it in my other bag. Lance snickers, and Shiro tries to hide a smile. Come on, you can do better than that. This is your first lesson with your big bro in years. He levels a look at him and lifts one finger, rotating it around a small circle as he says in baseline mental. Yay. Shiro rolls his eyes, but his smile stays in place. Lance sounds like he's struggling to contain himself, but Laura brings all of their attention back to her as she clears the throat. So, Keith, Lance, do you two know why you're here? To learn to be better dance partners? Lance says, like he's expecting this to be a trick question, and he's not quite sure of the answer. Laura nods, one hand on her hip as she gestures to them with her water bottle. Yes. Now don't get me wrong. You two are both amazing dancers in your own right. And it's understandable that you were a little rocky at auditions. You did well, but it was obvious that you lacked some basic level of synergy that partners need to be loyal to put on a good show. It was like she waved a ball around, eyes searching the ceiling as she struggles to find the right word. It was like you were dancing the same dance next to each other than with each other. She just smiles. Laura snaps her fingers, pointing at him. Yes, that. Exactly. She sends him a brief but brilliant smile before looking away, and he doesn't miss the way his brother's cheeks darken, or the shy smile that takes over his face. So, the purpose of lessons is to help you to develop your relationship as partners and hopefully build some synergy between you. You already have a really good foundation. I believe with that a little help, two of you can really go far. Lance looks like he's reveling in the phrase, but he can't help but feel the silver of apprehension cold in his gut. Did you say lessons as in plural? He asks warily. It's Shiro who answers, a wide smile on his face. Yes, we were hoping to have a lesson with two of you once a week for at least a month. The rest will be shorter than this one, Laura adds. But we feel continuous work like this will drastically help your improvement. It's often an overlooked aspect of dancing, but it's very important, especially in duos when it's only you and one other person. You can't hide in the group. And especially important with you two, seeing as barely knew each other just a couple of weeks ago. Kate isn't aware of his facial expression, Chish until Lance bumps him quickly. Calm down, sourpuss, he says, giving Keith a confident grin. This will be good for us, to back to Laura. I'm down for anything that'll help us stomp at regionals. He looks delighted. That's the spirit, Lance. And then something in her expression changes. It's subtle, and Keith is convinced the only reason he catches it is because he spent so much time on the receiving end of that look. Her chin tilts downward a fraction. Her eyes narrow slightly, and a spark in the depths of her irises, a small quirk to her lips. We're going to start today's lesson with trust exercises. Keith tenses, and he can see Lance stiffening in his purple vision. Trust exercises? Lance says, voice echoing Keith's own evolution. I thought we were here to learn how to dance. Laura's megawatt smile doesn't falter. If anything, it gets a little more conniving as she tilts her head to the side, just slightly. You already know how to dance. You're here to learn how to dance together, and that requires a level of trust that neither of you have yet. Lance rolls his eyes, leaning his weight back as he crosses his arms over his chest. Keith and I totally trust each other when it comes to dancing. We wouldn't need to do trust exercises, right, Keith? Yeah, he agrees, trying to sound stern, but he knows that look. And Laura isn't about to let this go. So you're saying that if I asked you to, you'd be willing to jump head first into Keith's arms right now? No hesitation, no questions asked, and trust him to catch you? Shiro asked, eyebrows raised. Lance turned his head to look at Keith, and Keith meets his gaze. He tries his hardest to communicate with him silently, pleading him just agree that they trust him. Maybe if they can convince Shiro and Laura, they won't have to do the exercise. But Lance is looking him over, lips pressed tight and eyes narrowed, and Keith knows it's a losing battle. Yeah, Lance says slowly, turning back to Laura, and holding Keith's gaze for a second look, lifting his chin as he looks at him warily. So, about those trust exercises, Laura laps. Glad you're seeing things my way. Keith groans. Please don't tell me we're going to do trust falls. First thing we're going to do is trust falls. Laura says over him, clasping her hands together loudly. I doubt you'll need a demonstration, but just in case. Then she pauses. She just leans over, keeping her legs straight as she rocks back on her heels. Suddenly, she's fallen. Keith isn't even sure he sees Shiro move, but suddenly he's there, catching Laura beneath the arms and tipping her back onto her feet. She straightens, hands on her hips. Like that. Now, come on, she says, waving her hands at him. Lance, you're first. Keith, make sure to catch him. When neither of them move right away, instead exchanging weird glances, she signs and steps forward, forcefully moving them into position, with the tight grip around their arms. She sets Lance up only a couple of feet away, his back to Keith. He tries to turn around to look at him, but Allura just spins him back around before stepping away. Now, go! Keith sighs, turning his attention to hand and holding his arms out. He braces his legs to catch Lance's weight. He waits, and waits, and... Are you ready? Lance speaks over his shoulder. Yes, Lance, just fall already. Just lifting his arms a little higher to demonstrate how ready he is. Lance's brow furrows. Right. Yeah. Okay. He turns back forward. His arms are at his sides, and Keith can see his fingers nervously tapping each other in his legs. Here I go. Falling. Right now. Gonna fall. Just gonna lean back. Anytime now, Lance. Allura says, and Keith can tell she's trying to be patient, but there is an exasperated edge there. You can't force trust, Allura. Lance says, was a little higher than it was before. Keith sees Shiro put a hand on Allura's shoulder. He's right. Let them do this at their own pace. he says gently. More turd than either of them. They exchange soft looks. Once again, Keith is hit with the sensation that he's intruding on the power mode. He turns back to Lance. Lance, I'm ready. Just go. He really just wants to get this over with. He doesn't want to think about Lance in arms any longer than necessary. Alright, don't push me. And after a few seconds of anxiously shifting his weight around, he has to lean back. He holds out his arms, weighing rocking back on his heels. He starts to fall and he catches himself, settling back a step and leaning his arm before looking over his shoulder. In a customary expression, like Keith is the one who messed up. Are you sure you're ready? Because I don't feel like you're really ready. Lance, for sake! Shiro clears his throat. But Keith knows it. Just shut up and trust me. Alright, fine. Yeesh. Don't let's yell. His voice promises off, but he takes up his position. After a significantly short wait, Lance actually leans back and falls. To be completely honest, Keith was expecting him to stop himself again, but actually goes through with it, and Keith finds himself stumbling to brace himself. Lance dead weight falls to his arms. He has to step back to balance himself as Lance hits his chest, arms stiffening as they catch under Lance's armpits. Great to see as he rebounds, ignore Lance's mildly surprised hit. For a second, just one measly second where he's distracted, he finds himself reeling for Lance's warmth to feel his back against his chest. The smell of his shampoo is strong and pleasant, and then he's pushing forward, getting Lance back up to his feet, and they're no longer touching. You almost dropped me, Lance says, spinning around the face. Lips twisted in a customary pout. Keith crosses his arms over his chest. But I didn't. You almost did. I felt you stumble. Yes. You weighed more than I thought you would. Lance gasped dramatically, putting hand to his chest. Keith rolled his eyes. Alright, that was good. A little unsteady, but good. Now, switch. Keith, you fall. And Lance, you catch him. Laura pauses, fixing Lance with a stern stare. And please, don't drop him. I wouldn't. She just pulls his gaze. He sighs loudly, turning away from her to face Keith. He holds out his arms, jaw set in determination. Come on, Keith. Keith turns his back to Lance, completely set to just fall as soon as he does, but he hesitates. Alright, so in the moment it's a little harder than anticipated. It's not that he doesn't trust Lance, it's just he doesn't like letting himself blindly fall. No one does. It's against human nature. That might be why it's good for a trust exercise. But right now, Keith is using that as his validation for his take. It has nothing to do with the thought of Lance holding him, whisking through his mind in the flash forward dissipating. Still, he's determined to make a point and not wait for a stall as long as Lance did. Oh, what's the matter, Joe Jonas? Not so easy when it's you. Now it's cuts up front with another yet as Keith lets himself fall. He's not entirely sure Lance is ready. In fact, he's pretty sure he's not. But at this point, Keith doesn't really care. Maybe he hits the ground hard enough, he'll black out and won't have to deal with this anymore. Fortunately, he doesn't hit the ground. He hits Lance square in his chest, and then his momentum keeps going. Lance's arms wrap around him, and lets out a sharp shot as he tips over and they both go down. Hank spikes and he fails, but it does nothing. There is knock from his lungs, and when he lands on top Lance, he hears that a wheeze in response. I wasn't ready! Lance groans under him, arms letting go to flop out the sides. Keith had tensed during the fall and now relaxes, letting his body sag on top of Lance as his head lolls back onto his shoulder. You were supposed to be ready, idiot. That's the whole point of this exercise. You're the idiot of falling when I was obviously not ready. You're telling me to fall. Then Shiro's there, holding out a hand to help keep up. This is alright, it was nobody's fault. He says, reaching down to help Lance up. But can we please try to take this seriously? I was taking it seriously, he groans. Yeah, me too. Then go again, Laura says, walking over to where Shiro's phone is plugged in. She pulls up a playlist song that Keith recognizes as her chill playlist as soon as the music starts. She turns down the volume so it's just background noise. Lance, it's your turn again. But Lance, Shiro's tone leaves no room for argument. Lance glares at Keith. You better not drop me. Like you dropped me? I stopped your fall with my body. That's to count for something. You know something. I'll think about it. Keith, buddy. Keith smirks, holding out his arms. Just trust me, fall. I won't drop you. Lance gives him a lingering glare, but turns around nonetheless. He breathes deep, like a man resigning himself to his fate, and falls. Keith catches him, and this time, he's preparing not to avoid stumbling. Lance hits his chest with a soft boom, and opens his eyes after a second. He catches around before tilting his head back. His hair brushes against Keith's collarbones, and he wishes he didn't notice that detail. Ugh, you caught me. Keith nods his right. Told you I would. Not gonna lie, I thought you would let me fall. I'm not a dick, Lance. But then Keith bends his legs quickly, abruptly dropping his body several inches. Lance drops with him. It's not much. It's all before it really starts, but it doesn't stop Lance from crying out, flailing a little before he catches back in Keith's arms. Keith can't help the laugh that bubbles up his throat. He can even hear Shiro and Laura snickering from his side. The smile is hidden by their hands. That wasn't funny! Lance snaps, his ears are red. It's pretty funny. Whatever, he grumbles, and even though he can't see his face, Keith can hear his power. Lance kind of hangs in his arms forward, arms slung over Keith's, which are tense and rigid from holding him up, back against Keith's chest. He does this weird little flex thing, tightening his armbands around Keith's arm. Keith's about to ask him what the hell he's doing when Lance finally speaks. Damn, Keith. I guess you do live, huh? He nearly drops him right then and there. Instead, he pushes him roughly to his feet. Allura's clapping. Very good. Now, Keith, try this again. Lance, I won't drop him this time. Good. Keith is grateful for the excuse to turn his back to Lance. His neck feels a little too warm. He can't help but ask. Ready? But it's more teasing than anything. Lance hums out an affirmative, and right before it falls, hears Lance sing under his breath. He's going down. I'm yelling, Timber! Lance catches it and barely stumbles at all. A surprisingly sturdy weight behind him, and Keith tries not to think too hard about that, especially when Lance chuckles low in his throat. The sound so close that Keith's ear and his chest shaking under him. Aw, you're falling for me. Lance does playfully, and Keith groans loudly, slapping his hands over his face. Please, just let me fall and hit my head. No can do, dude. We've got work to do. Allura makes them go through several more trust falls, and each time it gets easier once they realize the other is sturdy enough to catch the other, and they come to an unspoken agreement to do what Allura says for their own good. The catches and falls are easy. They go through them quickly. It doesn't take Lance long to get bored. But when it's his turn, he doesn't waste any time, swinging dramatically hand to his forehead as he falls. When it's Keith's turn, Lance makes another falling from joke. Keith looks Shiro straight in his eyes and deadpans. Kill me. Shiro obliges by lifting a hand and pointing a finger at him. The lamb, he says, smiling playfully. He ignores his brother's terrible attempt at making gun sound and puts a hand to his chest, falling like he was shocked. Lance is laughing as he catches him, and nearly drops him because of it. He doesn't mind. He hides a smile. Turns out, all in all, just falls aren't that bad. Unfortunately, just when he's starting to really believe that everything will be fine, Laura hits them with the next trust exercise. Do we have to? Lance whines, shoulders sagging and his head low to the side. Yes, she says firmly, arms crossed over his chest. Eye contact is a very important part of building synergy. How are you supposed to dance with someone and convey unity if we can't even look at each other? I can look at Keith just fine. It's the staring part that's just so awkward. Keith can't even take offense to that. He agrees completely. They're both sitting on the floor now, each of them with their arms crossed over their chest and stubbornly not looking at each other. I assure you, it's not as awkward as you think. Her voice softens into something more sympathetic. It may feel awkward now, but if you can do this, then making eye contact while dancing will be easy. Sure can hold my gaze for entire dances without being awkward. There's a reason for that. He mutters under his breath, and Lance snickers. Allura sighs. Just do the exercise. 1 minute. That's all I ask. But no buts. She says the word, reaching out to put a hand on both of their heads. With a firm jerk, she forces them to face her. Shiro, will you tie them? Yep, go ahead. And start, guys. Laura moves her hand and steps back. Suddenly, Keith feels a lot more alone and a lot more vulnerable. He stares at Lan, and Lan stares back. His lips are pressed into a small frown that's bordering on a pout. Keith does his best to school his expression into something neutral. He's not sure if he succeeds. The sound that falls over the room is deafening, despite the music playing softly over the speakers. Lan's fingers are tapping on his arms, picking at his shirt. Keith starts counting the seconds before he's not sure what else to do. Each second is agonizingly slow, and the whole time he's lost in a sea of dark blue with flecks of grays and lighter shades that swirls through a storm. Lan's eyes narrow a fraction. I bet I can go longer than you without blinking, he raised now. You want to turn our staring contest into a staring contest. Lan's head cocks to the side, a smirk quirking his lips. Yes, he frowns. You're on. Okay, starting now. And suddenly, it's a lot easier to stare at him, because he really can't help himself. The chance has been laid down, and Keith isn't one to give up easily. Thank God for Lance and his tendency to turn everything into a contest. He stops counting in favor of glaring at Lance. Focusing on not blinking, he feels his eyelid twitching, but he holds back the impulse. Lance scrunched up his nose in an effort to do the same. Time seems to get away from him, because suddenly Shiro's calling out, "Time!" It startles him enough that he blinks. Lance blinks a second after, face brightening as he brightens, pumping his fist in the air. I win! Lance, that wasn't supposed to be a contest. Shiro sounds more tired than at first. It's supposed to help you two get closer and more comfortable with each other. Well, I'm more comfortable when I'm kicking Keith's ass, Keith goes. You only won because Shiro distracted me. Don't drag me into this, Shiro mumbles with a soft groan. Luckily for you, you can have a rematch. Allura says, and all three of them turn to look at her. Shiro gives her a curious look, eyebrows raised. She meets his gaze, trying a smile. They might be needlessly turned into a contest, but at least they're doing the exercise. Might as well roll with it. Shiro shrugs and turns around. Fair enough. Wait, so we have to do it again? Lance asks, sounding a little dismayed. He can't even bring himself to be offended. He's not exactly happy about it either. Yup, she says proudly. You said it'll only be a minute. For the first time, yes. This time, being holding eye contact for 2 minutes. What? Both her and Shiro are leaning against the railing that lines the mirror wall, both with their arms crossed loosely over their chests. Despite the cheery innocence in her voice, Keith can see that familiar spark in her eyes. A trickle of nauseating anticipation snakes down his spine. Only this time, you're going to hold hands. Keith tries to protest, but his heart lodges itself firmly in his throat. And all that comes out is a choke gasp. Lance seems to be having a similar problem. Keith refuses to look at him, instead staring intently at Allura with wide eyes, trying to convey a silent warning and a plea. Allura ignores him, and Lance makes these strange, strangled sounds next to him, and Keith feels a telltale warmth creeping up his neck. Lance manages to find his voice first. He clears his throat, and Keith glances sidelong at him. He puts his hands flat together, holding an nod to his face. His eyes are closed as he inhales deeply. Okay, wait. Hold up. Let me get this straight. He opens his eyes and points his hands a little. You want us to stare at each other for 2 minutes while holding hands? Let us flinch. Yes. Lance sputters for a second. Laura, why? Because I strongly believe that this is important, Lance. Her voice is a little more firm, but no less calm. Eye contact and physical touch are important aspects to dancing as a duo. If you don't dance in the style that Shiro and I prefer, eye contact and touch always interact to build a synergy between you during the performance, to really show that you're dancing together. This is just a simple exercise to get you used to these two things. If you can't do this, then doing it while dancing will be easy. Yeah, but no buts. Lance huffed, and Keith can see him turning to face him out of the corner of his eye. Keith's gaze flickered between Laura and Shiro, eyes narrow. They both met his gaze steadily, both beaming innocence. He doesn't believe that act for a second. Everything with Laura didn't make sense, and she explained it with such ease that Keith believes that this is a regular part of this lesson. But he doesn't believe that they're getting no extra satisfaction out of watching him squirm. He's going to kill Shiro later. Let's get this over with. Lance mumbles, and suddenly he's shifting. Keith's hand whips around, staring at him while he scoots forward, stopping only when their knees touch. Lance doesn't look at him as he holds out his hands. Has Lance always had such long, slender fingers? Keith! Lance whines. Keith hadn't realized he'd been staring. He starts, eyes flying up to Lance. His lips are pursed into a small frown, eyes hard and unreadable as he looks up at him. Don't leave me hanging, dude! Keith sighs, feeling stiff as he unfolds his arms and puts his hands in Lance's. Their fingers tighten around each other just a fraction, enough that Laura can't argue they aren't holding hands. Alright, starting the time. Now, she says from somewhere to this. He is barely paying attention, his eyes are on Lance. Lips pressed tight as he hopes and prays that his expression is something calm. His face feels irrational and warm, and so does his hand. He hopes his palms aren't sweating. Thank God he's wearing his gloves. The only solace he has is the faint blush taking over Lance's cheekbones, especially called across the nose. Lance's eyes flicker between his small movement oddly hesitant and erratic. Lance's expression contorts in minor ways. A twitch here, a wrinkle there. He looks like he's fighting and losing some internal battle. He just focuses on keeping his expression still, subtly taking deep breaths to calm and flutter in his stomach. He sees the moment Lance decides to speak. He sees it in the spark in his eyes, the twitch of his lips. When finally finds his voice, the ghost of a smile is present. Jesus, Keith, hands are like sandpaper. Ever hear of a thing called lotion? Keith feels his brows pinch, lips tucked into frown. Have you ever worked a day in your life? You have yet to know calluses. Lance smirks. I'm going to take that as a compliment. It's amazing what miracles a good skincare routine can do. I'll take your word for it. Seriously, dude? Do you bite your nails? Lance pokes and crosses fingers tips with his thumbs, feeling the rough skin around the nail beds where Keith has picked at it. That's none of your business. It's gross, dude. Like, you never pick at your nails. I don't. Check them out. And Keith does. Run his thumb gently over the tips of his fingers. His nails are smooth and filed into perfect low pressures close to skin. The skin around his nails is perfectly unblemished, at least from what he can feel. He frowns. How the hell? It's called impulse control, what? He grunts wordlessly, still holding eye contact. It's easier when they bicker. With silence, they fall back to his makes him feel restless. His hands get fidgety in Lance's. Finger idly tapping against Lance's wrist. He then feels one of the many bracelets on his wrist brush against his fingertip. That seems like as a Good a competition as any. Where'd you wear these? For a second, it looks like Lance is going to extend look down. He sounds set last moment. What? The bracelets. They look like a kid's friendship bracelets. He expects some kind of frown or pout, but instead, Lance's expression goes soft, head to the side. They are. He quirks an eyebrow, and Lance continues. I have a lot of siblings and nieces and nephews and cousins, and most of them are younger than me. It's kind of like a family tradition for me, and my older siblings teach the younger ones how to make them. Then they get obsessed and with making them. And suddenly, I've got 1,000,005 bracelets shoved. Of course, I'm going to wear them all. Keith feels his lips twitch. Of course. Hey, is that satire, Cogain? Don't you insult my family's arts and crafts founding time. I will fight you. His tone is mostly people, but there is a small, subtle defensive edge to it, an edge of hardness in his eyes as he stares back. I'm not insulting it, Keith says earnestly, feeling the need to make that clear, but doesn't know what resists him to do. I think it's cute. He tries to say as casually as he can, like it isn't a big deal because it's not. It is cute. He just hopes that Lance doesn't pick up on the small hitch in his voice. Lance, however, purses his lips, completion darkening. His eyes widen a fraction, and Keith knows he wants to look away. Hell, Keith wants to look away, but they can't. Not yet. Instead, Lance composes himself easily back into nonchalance and confidence. Shrugs. Shuts up. It's just practical. It's a good way to keep the kids entertained and occupied. They have fun. I rock the bracelets. Everyone wins. The sounds that lapse into is more suffocating this time around, but neither of them break eye contact with shows. And that's time. Finally, Lance tears his hands away from Keith's, throwing his arms in the air, lobbing backwards until he's lying on the floor. Can we please move on to the actual dancing? Alert chuckles, and Shiro is smirking. He shoots them both a glare. Yes, we'll move on for now. Thank you. Go ahead and warm up properly so we can get started. Warming up and stretching is a casual affair. He does his best to ignore Lance for a moment, but he has an obnoxious habit of catching Keith's eye. Stretching turns into less than 3 contests for who's the most flexible. It's silent agreement. Eyes locking. Lance smirking as he leans a little further. Keith doing the same in response. They pretty even, but Keith's pretty sure he's a lot more flexible with his legs, while Lance has an edge on him with his upper body. As soon as Laura catches wind of their silent contest, she easily beats them both. And alright, so maybe Keith can see why his brother is so intimidated by Laura, but come on, anyone's eyes can see the constant glances as she sends his way, the casual touches, the soft smiles. Just another reason to kick Shiro's ass. Alright, Laura says as she steps up in front of Shiro, half turned to look at the two of them. We're going to demonstrate a dance for the two of you. It's a little more complicated than we should go with these puzzles, but we think that given time, you'll learn it. You're both very talented dancers. You have picked up the dance styles very quickly. So even though this may be out of your comfort zone, we have faith that you'll manage. Today though, we're going to start out small. We'll teach you to dance in pieces, starting with the easy things while your synergy is still a little rocky, and eventually putting it all together, assuming, of course, Shreds, that you two agree to meet with us once a week for these lessons. Assuming that, yes. Now we'll show you what it'll look like eventually, but try not to be too intimidating. She gives him a quick wink. Now, if you would be so kind as to hit play. He has seen them dance hundreds of times before. It's something new. He knows of their impeccable synergy, of their emotional and storytelling style. It's not like anything Keith has ever attempted. Probably because he acquires a partner, and probably because it seems so intimate. and despite knowing exactly the kind of style Shiro and Laura intended him, he had somewhat been in denial before this moment. Now that he is in this moment, he's realizing that when Laura had said this might be out of their comfort zones, it had been the biggest understatement of the year. He feels tense, and he knows he's tense. His watching was uncrossed, fingers digging into his upper arms, trying to regulate his breathing. It's hard when his heart can't seem to decide whether it wants to live in his throat or drop down into his stomach. The song is an emotional one, and that sentient is echoed in their expressions and their touches. In the dramatic and heartfelt ways they throw their bodies and limbs around. The smile Shiro and Laura are gone, and it feels like he's been thrown into a story that clashes terribly with the reality they had just inhabited. He's barely paying attention to the details of the lips and poses the two of them are going through. He's too distracted by the sheer closeness of it all. He really doesn't want to think about doing that with Lance. He doesn't think he has a choice though. When they're done, they turn off the music and go through the first couple of slow. There's nothing dramatic, no fancy lips, no real action for him to focus on, just a lot of touching, and holding, and passionate expressions. So, did you guys get all that? Allure asks when they're done. Oh no, when it's up to speed, it only takes a few seconds. To keep, it feels like hours. She steps away from Shiro, smiling at the two of them with their hands on their lips. He doesn't trust his voice, so he's not stiffly. Lance, on the other hand, has no problem voicing his concerns. Yeah, so, like, look great and all, but are we supposed to that too? Allura raises one eyebrow. And what exactly is that? Lance scratches the back of his neck, other hands waving vaguely. You know, that, the looks and touches and everything. Yes, of course. But it's a very important aspect to this dance style. You're telling a story and that requires you to focus on your partner. Expression is both on an individual level and a joint effort. But why? An edge of desperation leaks into his voice, and at least Keith can take some comfort in the fact that he's not the only one feeling hesitant about this. It may not be for the same reasons, but they'll take what he can get. Because this style forces you to focus on your partner and what's going on between you, which is coincidentally the whole point of this exercise. He and Laura stare at each other, eyes narrow and lips set into firm lines. If it's an intimidation battle, he knows Allura is going to win. It takes a moment to send a fleeting look to Shiro. He hasn't explicitly told his brother about his development traction. Hell, he doesn't even like thinking about it this time. But that doesn't stop him from silently begging his brother to help him. Shiro meets his gaze and sends him a look that's 2 parts sympathy and 1 part amusement. You're doing this, Lance, Allura says firmly. This will be good for you two, and lessons you learn here will transfer over your style. You do want to do well at regionals, don't you? Keith looks back to them in time to see Lance flinch. It's a low blow, and they all know it. They also know it's Laura's biggest bargaining chip. Lance can't argue with her logic, and Keith sees the moment he gives up. He gives at her, mouth and jaw working as he tries to formulate a response. Then he crosses his arms over his chest and hikes his shoulders up to his ears, looking away as he mumbles, yes. And that's how Keith finds himself a little too close to Lance for comfort. Shiro and Laura are next to them, demonstrating the moves and walking them through it. They go post for post at their 2 instructors hover around them, poking and prodding them till they're doing it just right. Much to his dismay, they find themselves holding eye contact more often than not. As awkward as it is, it's easier than trying to ignore each other altogether. It's impossible to ignore each other when they're this close. He tries to keep focus, his lips pressed into a firm line and his expression in check. He's not sure if he pulls it off though. The only thing he's sure of is that while Lance has his arm wrapped around his back and his other hand down his chest while leaning into his arms. He knows that Lance can feel the rapid staccato of his heartbeat. He can feel it pounding against his chest, slamming against Lance's touch. He tries to will it to stop. Suddenly he pleads with it. Doesn't, of course. Not when Lance's face is so close and they're staring into each other's eyes. And how has he never noticed that faint freckles that scatter across his nose and cheeks just a shade darker than his skin? They hold the pose, and Keith feels his legs starting to shake slightly. Mostly from nerves, but also from attempting to hold his own weight up while leaning so heavily into Lance's embrace. He can feel Lance's arms starting to shake behind him. God, why did he ever agree to this? As he meets Lance's gaze, silly and determined not to flinch away, he tries to convince himself that this is fine, completely professional. He tries to convince himself that he's definitely not attracted to Lance, but in the slightest. The slightest upturn to his long nose isn't cute at all. His sharp cheekbones are generically pretty feature, but they're just cheekbones. The turn of fire in the blue depths of his irises isn't anything to make his stomach flutter at. The way his lips smirk in self-satisfaction, causing his eyes to crinkle whenever Shiro or Laura praises them, as definitely not the reason Keith's breath to hitch. Is he kidding? Everything is not fine. At Laura's decision, they move into the next pose. He tilts his head back, grateful for an excuse to look away for a moment. The hand on his chest wraps around his back as Lance switches arms, and suddenly he's being held close and lifted as he steps up. They half turn and stop, chest to chest. Lance's hands are on his sides, and when his hands move to the whole Lance's head, fingers moving through the hair at the back of his neck. Fingers played to feel the soft strands and warm flesh of his neck and face, and Jesus cries. He's going to murder Shiro for choosing this dance, or letting Laura choose this dance. He doesn't care. He'll murder them both. That's good. Keep on going. Laura says, gently tap beat on her thigh. Lance lifts his face, and Keith tilts his back. His eyes close briefly as Lance's nose runs across his throat. And he reluctantly ignores the shivers that run down his spine. Lance exhales his breath and is hot in Keith's skin. Oh God, he can't fucking handle this. Oh my God. Okay, so basically, Lance and Keith, they were supposed to meet at room 2A. That's where Shiro and Laura supposed to meet for their exercise and dances. But the first thing they trying to teach them is the trust fall, and there might be a little bit struggling between Lance and Keith about their trust falls. Basically, you know what trust fall is. That somebody had to push you from it, and then while the other one, you're gonna have to put on the side and hold somebody. Let somebody hold the thing, and that's they're trying to do. And they do that as many times. And the next one is the staring contest. It's staring at another person. So you have to keep staring at myself and look at it and just sit down and just stare at it for 1 minute. And then 2 minutes when we're asked, holding up with hands. And they did that. So they move on to dancing, and then everything felt really good, and they're showing what Shiro and Laura are dancing. And then it's Lance and Keith's turn, and somehow, oh my God, it's about to get a little below for this, and this isn't really gonna go so well, is it? Well, what happens? Oh, right. When we move on the next day, we see your breath stinks, he grumbles, proud when his voice doesn't waver or crack. In fact, he sounds relatively normal. If not a little grumpy, he'll take it. He feels more than hears Lance snort. Your mouth looks greasier up close. You know the skincare routine you do in the morning? What about it? You missed a spot. Lance gasped loudly, abruptly leaning away from him. Their eyes are still closed, but now Keith can see his face as he gasps at him, eyes wide. Where? He tries to remain casual as he makes a show of looking Lance's face over, ignoring the fact that he's still holding the guy's head cradle in his hands. He can't quite hold back his amused smirk. No, wait, never mind. I was wrong. Lance breathed silently. It's just your face. Lance gasped again, removing a hand from Keith's side to put it to his own chest. Then his face scrunches up as he lightly kicks Keith's shoes. Well, you keep stepping on my toes. It's like you have 2 left feet. Keith holds suspicious in. I prefer if I had 2 right feet. Lance eyes him suspiciously, one eyebrow raising slowly. Why is that? Because then I'll be alright. Lance is quiet for a full 2 seconds, just looking Keith over. Oh my god! He throws back his head and laughs. In the end, having to hold on to Keith to keep from falling over, Keith finds himself grinning. Oh my god, Keith! You made a joke! I've been known to do that occasionally. He tries to defend, but his smile is definitely in place. I know, but it always catches me off guard. Lance is recovered by now. They both step back from each other. If you 2 are finished, they both unsealed watching them. Eyebrow and lips quirking musing. And we're doing so well, too. Right. That was supposed to be my line. God, Keith, stop! Lance laughed, shouting. At Allura's insistence, they go through several more moves. It's mostly poses, close, and personal. Allura reminds them to hold eye contact and to convey emotion with their expressions and body language. That it's all about showing a connection between them. Luckily, Lance finds a way to make it a hell of a lot less awkward. Keith, it's called exfoliating, he says as he roughly rubs his hand down at Keith's cheek. You should try it sometime. Is that a zit I see forming? Don't even joke. Who said I'm joking? Keith, I would drop you right now. What happened to promising you wouldn't drop me? You weigh a ton. Allura's making us hold these poses for you too long. You can just insinuate that Zit got past my remarkable skincare regimen. Don't think I wouldn't drop you in a heartbeat. Gabe's keep up, spinning them around. Seriously, dude, lay off the snack cakes. Only when you lay off the milkshakes. There's a moment where their faces are closed, eyes locked. Lori is beside them, speaking softly as she guides them through it. Keith has mostly tuned her out. He gets the gist of what she's saying anyway. They freeze at her insistence, and she and Shiro move around them, poking and prodding their arms a beat, adjusting their stances, telling Lance to lean his weight more heavily onto Keith, telling Keith how to hold himself to better distribute the weight. The whole time Lance is looking at him, face is so close that Keith can feel his breath on his cheeks, his nose, his lips. Your eyes are like an ocean, Lance says, voice pitched low, his lips curl into a cocky smirk that has Keith so screwed. And baby, I'm lost at sea. And then he winks. He's going to fucking kill him. Will he be disqualified from regionals if he breaks his partner's nose? He just stares at him blankly, then lifts his head to look at Shiro, who's hovering beside him. Can I drop him now? Shiro gives him an amused smile. I'm honestly surprised you're still holding on to him after that. I'm afraid of Laura, to be honest. That's understandable. I will be, too. I say, drop him. Allura cuts in. Laura, no! Lance laughing, wrapping his arms more firmly around Keith, said, Keith, don't drop me! He whines between laughs, practically dead weighting and half wrapping a letter around Keith. He's lucky Keith had already adjusted his weight to balance better, but even still, he stumbles. Lance, get off of me! He puts a hand to his chest and one to his face, shoving. Lance just clings tighter. No! I am your partner. You're not supposed to drop me! You deserve it. Why you gotta be so rude? He sings, wrapping his leg more firmly around him. Keith's half-hearted struggles turn more forceful when he realizes that Lance isn't moving. Lance notices the change and just latches on tighter. Holy sh... What is this grip? You're worse than... Oh my god. You're going to choke me. You're worse than Pitch. They're not the only ones to know how to koala someone. And then suddenly all Lance's limbs will wrap around him and he's scrambling for purchase as Keith shoves in. Pitch has climbed on him hundreds of times, but Lance has a lot more torso and a hell of a lot more limb than Pitch does. Pitch clings like a koala, but Lance is like a squid. Oh my god, Lance, let go! I swear to... Shiro, help me! Sorry, little bro. You're on your own. There's a laughter in Shiro's voice, and Keith spares him a quick glare. Ha ha! Lance has somehow managed to scramble and shift his body around Keith's side. He's kicked and elbowed, and honestly, he's not sure how he's still standing. Why must you both be this way? Laura sighed, shaking her head, but there's no real annoyance in her voice. You want a synergy, Laura? Lance says, fixing himself onto Keith's back. He settles with his arms around his neck and legs wrapped firmly around his waist, ankles locked. This is our synergy. Our spark, right, Keith? No. He plants his hands on Keith's shoulders, shaking them by rocking his body back and forth. Keith, don't deny our spark, man. I'm denying it. Now stop that before we... He doesn't get to finish his sentence before Lance's rocking gets out of hand and throws Keith off balance. They both topple over backwards. Keith lands on top of Lance and he hears a loud oomph as the air rushes out of his lungs, followed by a groan. Keith echoes it. I feel like I'm having deja vu. Lance mumbles beneath him. You don't say. Keith mumbles rallying, sitting up as Lance shoves back. Nevertheless, Allura says, holding out a hand to help Keith to his feet. Shall we get back to our lesson on practicing a different kind of synergy? Yeah, okay, Keith says, sheepishly, unable to meet her eyes. I guess, Lance says, as Shiro helps him to his feet. He even manages to sound like a little abashed. Excellent. Next 30 minutes or so are dedicated to learning a simple lift. There are some arguments at the beginning, most on Lance's part, about who will be doing the lifting. Lance is insistent that he should do the lifting. He says he wanted to do a persuasive lift in their audition song, but everyone shot him down. Keith bites back. A little bit matter of principle. A little because Lance is getting on his nerves, but mostly because arguing with Lance brings out a sense of familiarity that's comforting when they're forced to such unfamiliar and uncomfortable close proximity. In the end, when Shiro finally manages to get a word in edgewise, he tells them he and Laura had actually planned for Keith to be doing this particular lift. Keith doesn't say anything as Lance sputters, but makes sure he can see his triumphant smirk. He's grateful, mostly because he thinks being in Lance's arms will be a hell of a lot worse than having Lance in his. Turns out he's wrong. It's pretty bad either way. They start a little rocky. Lance is jittery and nervous about trusting Keith to lift him, and makes him too stiff. This, in turn, makes Keith nervous. He's not used to lifting another's weight like this, keeping it fluid and in time with the music. He's more or less in complete control of the lift. Luckily, he's nothing if not persistent. If he's no stranger to consistent training to drill new things into muscle memory. So he grits his teeth, mostly ignores Lance's nervous jabs, and concentrates on improving. It's mostly Shiro who walks him through it, giving tips and advice for lifting. Pays close attention, barely listening to Laura doing the same for Lance. When they try over and over and over again, Keith hears his brother's advice, pays attention to how his body's moving, how Lance's body reacted to his. After a while, Lance relaxes and starts to take it seriously. After that point, they improve quickly. You can feel the familiar trickle of self-pride when they actually start to get it without faltering. It's still somewhat stiff and shaky, and they're not nearly as fluid and graceful as Shiro and Laura, but they're getting it. You can see the pride radiating off his brother's smiling face, see it in Laura's eyes. Even Lance has cut the jokes and jabs out, concentrating fully. He has no doubt it's in reaction to his own sudden focus. Lance can be just as stubborn as him, especially when he gets it in his head that Keith is trying to one-up him or whatever. Keith can't complain too much. He likes the way his jaw is set and his eyes flare with single-minded determination. Whatever the reason, Keith is grateful for the moderate silence and focus. It makes it a lot easier to ignore the fact that his hands are all over Lance, that he's been holding him in his arms and for however long now. Easy to forget when they're like this, laser focused, determined, and stubborn. It took them long enough to get to this point, but now that they're here, it feels like they're finally getting somewhere. Alright, so now that we've shown you how a particular lift fits in with the other moves we taught you, why don't we try putting it all together with the music? Keith nods wordlessly and steps up to Lance, who's already stepping in close to take up their starting position. He has a leg stretched out, using it as a balancing point as his other knee is bent, toe pointed and leg at the angle Allura taught him. Both legs are one to side of Keith as he leans forward in lunge. One arm is wrapped around Lance's back, holding him up with his other arm is out to the side in a gesture that Shiro insisted on. It's somewhat difficult to hold the pose with one arm, but once the music is going and they're moving and shifting their weight, it's not so bad. One of Lance's hands is loosely on his shoulder, the other wrapped around his neck. They're close, and it's an intimate position that he hasn't had time to think too much about while they were working through everything. But now, while they hold their positions, as Shiro shuffles through his phone for the music, he thinks about it. He lets himself indulge in it, if only for a moment. He thinks about how much he likes this angle and the feel of Lance's hands on him. He likes how Lance is relaxed and loose as he hangs under him, completely at his mercy but utterly trusting and without a sense of hesitation. He thinks, if only for a moment, how lucky he is to have gotten an attractive dance partner, even if his personality could use improvement. He thinks about how grateful he is that they have dancing as an excuse to be close like this, to explore their physical chemistry without any strings attached. Because, as much as he hates to admit it, they do have a physical chemistry. One that makes dancing with Lance so much more enjoyable than he would have ever imagined. He thinks that he might be what's been messing him up. Acknowledging the dance floor chemistry and Lance's objective attractiveness has muddled his brain. He can't accept that they're just this. They're not very compatible otherwise anyway, but if he's going to accept that they're just this, then he can at least let himself enjoy, right? As they wait, suspended in animation as they wait for the music to start, he stares into Lance's eyes, still set in the heart, with that focused fire that Keith finds himself drawn to. Then his lips quirk up at the corners in the shadow of his smirk, his head tilting just ever so slightly as that familiar cocky and confident look enters his eyes. "Try not to drop me, mullet." His voice is soft, playful, and teasing, with no actual edge to it. Some crackling is faint over the speakers, but it's not what he remembers from what Shiro and Laura danced earlier, so it doesn't bother moving it. Keith finds himself mirroring his expression. "No promises, princess." He thought that what Shiro was trying to wear, but that's definitely not Shiro's voice. "So, you finally admit I'm royalty. A royal pain in the ass, maybe." Lance chuckles at that, and Keith can feel the brief puffs of air in his cheeks. Okay, that's definitely music playing now, but it's definitely not what they're dancing to earlier. Keith wants to look up and see what's going on, but he doesn't. He turns up because Laura instructed him to hold the pulse until he heard the song start, and she gave the go-ahead summarily. It's not because Lance's eyes are crinking. At the edges he grins. "You call me Your Majesty. Not in your life." Keith is only listening to the lyrics at half an ear, but something is tickling the edges of his memory. Where has he heard the song before? Lance doesn't seem to be paying attention to it, but it's nagging Keith insistently. "Better be careful, Sir Keith, or this princess is going to have your ass thrown into the dungeon." Keith's eyes widen, heart dropping so quickly he feels vertigo as he recognizes the song. Keith's head snaps out so fast that there is a flash of pain, but he ignores it. His eyes lock onto Shiro's, who's smiling instantly, but the amusement in his eyes betray him. Keith stares at him, and he knows his mouth is hanging open in horror. Keith doesn't have much time to dwell on it though, because his arms have gone slack, and he's dropped Lance without a second thought. In a sudden surge of blind panic, he doesn't even notice Lance isn't there anymore until he hears the surprised yelp. It brings his attention back to Lance, who's lying on the floor, propped up on an elbow and rubbing the back of his head, expression contorted into one of noise and pain. Keith, what the? He winces. He's going to fucking kill Shiro. Oh my god, Lance. I'm so sorry, he says, words in a rush as he scrambles to reach down to Lance's feet. Lance glares at him. For a second, Keith thinks he won't take his hand, but as his eyes roam Keith's face, the edge of his anger fades. Keith doesn't want to think about what his expression looks like right now. His heart is hammering in his chest, and his face feels like it's on fire. Lance takes his hand and Keith pulls him to his feet. What the hell was that? He doesn't sound angry, just disgruntled, which Keith takes as a good sign. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just got distracted and... Shiro! Keith snaps, turning to glare at his brother, hoping to divert the attention away from himself. Shiro holds up his hand. Sorry. Must have accidentally hit play on a song while I was searching for the right one. It sounds innocent enough, and like a logical excuse, but Keith isn't buying it. He hasn't seen that spark of amusement. Shiro, that song isn't even the same playlist, Laura says, sounding just as confused as Lance looks. Luckily, said song is still playing. Shiro had cut it off short after he had dropped Lance. Shiro rubs the back of his neck, eyes on his phone. Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I must not have been paying attention. What song was even playing? I asked. I didn't even notice. Nothing, he snaps. A little too loudly. His face is still warm, and he hates it. He presses his lips tight, trying to focus and let his embarrassment go as he holds out his arms to Lance. Let's just do this, alright? He spares a sharp glance towards Shiro, and do it right this time. Keith is expecting Lance to hesitate. After all, after just being dropped without explanation. But to his extreme surprise, he doesn't. Lance steps right up to him and takes up the same position they had been in before. Body lax and languid in Keith's arms, the obvious trust in that gesture does nothing to keep his blush down. For real this time, try not to drop Lance's, and while it's gruff, there's a playful edge to it. Keith sighs. I'm not going. Look, I'm sorry, alright? I didn't mean to. Hesitates, subconsciously biting his bottom. You're not... Are you alright? Lance seems surprised by that, but then his lips quirk into a smile and he shrugs. Yeah, no problem. My Lita always said I have a hard head. No harm done. Keith smiles all that, and small sincere. Good. This time, the right music plays, and all the jokes are set aside as they focus. The first one through is shaky. They haven't done it to music and staying on top of the beat while going through moves they've just learned is tricky. Laura has them to go through it several more times. And each time there is significant improvement. He realizes that he doesn't even have to think about the whole starting thing. The moves themselves give off half of the emotion they need to portray in and of themselves, and he finds the rest come easily enough when they're in the moment, especially when they're both determined to make the most of this. Without words, they seem to have come to agreement. Despite how comfortable it can be, Shiro and Laura thinks this will be good for them and they both trust him. And he has to admit, now that they're actually dancing and they've been in each other's personal bubble for a while now, it's not so bad. It's actually kind of fun. Despite everything, he and Lance do work well together. Their bodies sync up well. Maybe these lessons really will be good for them after all. Plus, it gives him an excuse to be close to Lance without the pressure that will be there otherwise. Maybe this will help him get over everything. Maybe it'll get him used to the whole Lance is attractive thing without letting it drop into anything else. Better to let himself indulge in the physicality of it, in their dance chemistry, and just focus on being friends. He supposes he should be a little grateful to his brother for such gentleness, but he's still going to kick his ass. Key and Lance are trying to put themselves in eye contact and make sure that whatever the movements they're doing, but they have to make the moves right. It's just lessons now that Shiro and Laura have been making those two put, and then when the dancing starts as it follows, but it's just somehow that they're trying to hold on and not trying to drop. And when they hear that lyric right out there, oops, Shiro must have pressed up the wrong song that they're going to dance. Okay, that's just a bit more awkward than what said. Shiro, why you pick that wrong song? Now they had to do it again, but this time it's for real. And they start going on lessons, and as soon as possible, and just keep going forward, and the rest of it is history. Okay, let's keep going. Shiro sits on the ground, legs outstretched and spread, feet against Allura's. Her hands are in his, soft and delicate, but still strong and firm. He's leaning back, pulling her forward as far as he can go to help her stretch. And damn, can she go far. He tries not to think too hard about her leaning toward and over his lower body, and luckily her face is turned away from him, focused instead on their suits. It took a while, but I think they end up doing quite well, she said softly, just he hums, taking instruction and looking over to where Land and Kate are cooking off. He feels his lips squirt into a small fontan. Yeah, but we knew they'd be difficult. I'm honestly surprised they pulled themselves together as quickly as they did. I expected it would take more lessons. I had faith in them, and they're both very determined and very talented, as long as they can stop overthinking things and let their natural compatibility flow. They'll do fine. I can see improvement in their synergy already. I do too, though it was quite an experience, to say the least. At least they're amusing. They are that. Laura leans back, pulling Shiro forward. He feels the stretch in his legs and breathes a small sigh of relief. With some proper training, they could actually be really good with his style of dancing, she says thoughtfully. He looks up to see spark in her eyes and smiles kindly, chuckling. As much as I believe that's true, I doubt they'll stick with it. Not to say they'll never dance like this again, but I think they're too fond of their styles. I suppose you're right, Laura hums. Do you think they have energy to go through it again? Never let go, Jack! Lan's shout cuts her off, drawing both of their attention. The two are standing in what can only be described as the typical Titanic pose. Lands on the balls of his feet, leaning forward with his arms held out to his sides. Keith is behind him, arms around his waist and holding him up. And they had decided to take a break, and while Laura and Shiro stretch, Lance and Keith have been playing around with various poses and lips. Shiro thinks he might have heard something about, I bet I trust you more, and you're on. Keith leans in close to Lance, a teasing smirk slowly curling his lips as he hovers just behind Lance's ear. It's a strangely intimate position, one that he isn't expecting his brother to put himself into. But there's a wicked glint on Keith's eyes as he pauses, drawing out the moment. Shiro can see Lance's expression waver, the blush spreading across his cheeks as his eyes widen just slightly. Then Keith breaks the sounds. Drown in hell, bitch! And then he chops Lance. Lance hits the ground, catching himself on his hands and knees, but he's laughing too hard to hold the position. He rolls over onto his back, one arm resting on his stomach as the other is placed over his face. He's laughing too, arms wrapped around his middle as he doubles over, eyes squeezed shut. Lance flops around the floor, blowing out accusations about being betrayed, and I see death between laughs. It's dramatic enough that Shiro finds himself grinning. Keith can't even respond, having thrown into another fit of laughter. He's striking and doesn't see the moment Lance lunges for his legs, knocking him over. Lance crawls on as he attempts to push himself, crying out, "What's wrong with me, you worry?" His brother has a nice laugh, and it's a shame he doesn't do it more often. Though he's heard a lot more since he started hanging out with Lance and the rest of them. This whole zoo thing has been good for him in more ways than one, and she will make sure to gloat about it some other time. It's later, after practice, when two of them are stretching out, that he asks, "So, will the two of you join us next week?" They pause, turn to look at him. Lance trying on his back and Keith is there next to him. Lance's legs stretch out and in his hand as Keith pushes it back to help him stretch. "Your synergy has already improved greatly," Laura adds a smile. "Imagine what you two can accomplish after a month." They exchange looks, something silent passing between them, and after a moment, Lance shrugs. "As long as the Butterfingers over here doesn't drop me again, I'm down," he glares, lips pursing into a small frown as he leans forward, pushing Lance's leg further. Lance half yelps and half laughs, hands smacking the floor next to him. Keith, buddy, I'm sorry. Stop. Oh my god, you're going to break my leg." Laura leans close to him then, her breath dancing across his ear and sending shivers down his spine. "Do you think those two will be okay?" He sees the slight smirk on Keith's lips, the wide grin on Lance's, and he smiles. "Yeah," he says, "they'll be just fine." And that's that, guys. That's that. Alright, guys. It was a really awesome when we're trying to read this whole thing out, but it was really amazing that Lance and Keith have been trying to put themselves together, and they're doing so well. And Shiro and Laura never been so much happier that they've been doing that so well and trying to concentrate, and that synergy had a lot of emotions to it, and that's what made themselves being famous. So yeah. Alright guys, that is the end of it. So right, that's the end of chapter right, that is the end of chapter 7 called Unsteady. Alright guys, that is the end of chapter 5.